MG Rob back with you, and today we're working on the Jeep. So the carburetor on this Jeep has been a bit of a problem since I got it. It seems that it's partially plugged up, maybe on the idle circuits. And I took it apart and cleaned it, and it turns out it's been rigged a little bit. And it's not actually the correct carburetor anyway. It's a civilian version rather than the military version. So I went on the hunt for a proper military version carburetor, but found out that nobody's re-popping those, and the only ones that are available are rebuilt ones. And if you do not have the proper model military carb to send them, then the core price is pretty high and they are quite expensive. So I did find out that you can buy replacements of the civilian style carburetor, which that is, for relatively cheap. So I got this one off the internet for $129. And for that price, I'm not going to mess with the one that's on there now and fight that and try to get it right. Just throw the new one on there and let's get rolling. So one other little problem I need to address while I'm in here is all this linkages here. Because there's a cam there and there's a cam there and there's adjustments here that it just hangs. Like there, once you get so far, it just hangs at full throttle. So I need to also look at that and figure out what's going on with that to stop it from hanging up on me. Well, let's get in here and start tearing this thing apart. So now that we got the old carburetor off and comparing the new one to the old one, there's obviously some variances. This might be a newer style, where this might be an older style. I'm not really sure. I haven't done my research on that one. But obviously the choke is here on the side, going this way rather than this way. And then the throttle operates a little differently. So I will have to play with the cables and linkages in order for everything to work right. So it does look like the arm for the throttle is set up to work with the military version here with the extra here, where this would probably be for the civilian version. So then I just have to worry about these other cables here, figuring out how to hook all that stuff up. One would be for the choke, and the other would be for what you might call the fast idle adjustment, or what in the military we tended to call the cruise control. Alright, so this is the choke cable, and I went ahead and took the old bracket off. Now I'm probably going to have to end up shortening this, but I just want to get this thing running and see how well it works before I commit to cutting anything. But I'm sure these choke cables aren't that hard to find, but I want to make sure before I cut it. And it looks like the slow running adjustment, which originally hooked, or the fast running adjustment, used to hook there, can actually go through this bracket here, go to the other side of the throttle linkage. And one bonus here is other than that hooking, obviously, is the throttle doesn't seem to be hanging up at full throttle anymore, so it had to do something to do with the angle to the other carburetor that was hanging it up. Now I just got to mess with the choke cable. I have to shorten it to get it out of the way of the throttle. Alright, well, I dribbled just a little bit of fuel down into the float bowl just to have something in there so it doesn't have to just crank and crank and crank forever just to fill the float bowl up. Without doing any other adjustments, let's just see what happens. Well, obviously right now it's needs to be richened up a little bit. Alright, so now the new carburetor's on there. Now I still have to finish up a lot of little details. Hook the choke cable up properly, the fast running adjustment cable, and I'll have to get into, now that I actually have a service manual on it, I'll have to get into double checking just some of the basics. Timing, check the plugs, various other things like that, just to make sure everything else looks good so I can actually tune the carburetor now. At any rate, that's it for today. This is MG Rob. Later.